Nigeria's federalism, an endless argument. On the 1st of January 1914, the colonial masters amalgamated the northern and the southern protectorates, which they later named Nigeria. A lot of argument came to be about how the country should be structured. In the year 1954, Nigeria was made a federal state. That federal state was lived quite a short while because it was disrupted by a military junta. The 1966 coup disrupted the federalism as the head of state that emerged after that coup, Ironsi, soon declared the country a unitary state via a decree. Ever since then, attempts have been made and counter-attempts to see if the country will be restructured. As a person, I see Nigeria as a quasi-unitary state, a lot of power concentrated at the federal level. In 2014, but before 2014, a lot of conferences have been held all about constitutional amendments, about restructuring, as people put it, or about structuring of the country, either ways you put it. The military tried and failed. The Obasanjo administration tried, it failed. In 2014, the administration of former President Goodluck Jonathan convened the National Conference. Among that, the conference made a lot of recommendations. The opposition party that time, the All Progressive Congress, chose to stay away from that conference. They say the conference was an attempt to help Jonathan win the 2015 presidential election. Now, a lot of issues have come to play. Issue of devolution of power, state police, issue of resource control, issue of allocation sharing formula, and indeed, issue of derivation. In our discussion today, we try to unravel it. And we also have to look at the political dimension to all this. My dear friends, we are back again today. Today we are talking about restructuring. Let me tell you what triggered this discussion. Not too long ago, when the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu met with the senators, I think members of National Assembly, he was telling them we need to go the way of state police. And he said, once you people approve it, we're going to, I will like us to have a state police, but it has to come from you people. That's just a summary of what he said. So I want to get your opinion about Nigeria's federalism. Just start first.
Okay, thank you again. Nigeria's federalism has always been a topic of debate, even before a person like me was born, and it has continued to, wax stronger until recently, when we stopped hearing about stuff that have to do with the restructuring.
What do you mean by you stopped recently?
Yes, because I would have loved to finish the point I was making. I'll get back to that.
Okay.
Question.
Sorry about that.
What I think, until recently, when it stopped becoming a hot topic in the minds or in the mouths of various Nigerians. But if you look at it critically, the 1966 coup by General Ironsi did not go down well with the North, which of course was used to instigate other parts of the country, like the West and the South or whatever we have at the time. And that animosity continued. Every tribe believed that they could do it better than Ironsi, or maybe the Igbos, as they would call it at the time, because the coup was named the Igbo coup, even though we knew exactly what happened. History has been twisted in various ways. So, going forward, because that bias continued, the moment somebody else steps in, the talk of the same restructuring takes a different dimension. From Ironsi to the next person, to the person that followed, everybody protected the interests of their region. I remember recently, I will come to your question now, why they talk of restructuring and stuff. When Buhari was president, people talked about restructuring as the solution to the problem we had at the time. Buhari was doing tribal bigotry or what was it?
Where was putting in place a Hausa Fulani hegemony,
Allegedly.
or that he was fulanizing the country.
Yeah. A lot of talk, clamor for restructuring were coming up. Even at that time, the agitation for Biafra too was also there.
Then to do the world Sunday.
Yes, all the people who came up, and all these people came up with several things. But as soon as the current president Tinubu came into power, we stopped hearing about restructuring, and all of a sudden we are now hearing about state policing. Now, coming to state police, I want to be very clear. We have our fears about state police, even though it has become a necessity at the moment. But we have our fears, and the fear is this. Now, at the moment, we have the police that is currently controlled by the federal government. We still have individuals influencing the activities of the police. Imagine when a governor is entirely in charge of the police. We've seen it in Enugu State, where the SSG to the governor is using the police to intimidate and harass people who comment against him and the government. Imagine when the government of the state is in charge of the police. What will happen? We've had security votes allocated to these governors and leaders of the country, and we are, as of now, we can't account, or they can't account for what they may have used these monies for. So the idea of state police may be an idea that is dead on arrival, but it is a necessity. So the talk of restructuring has always been there. It has been killed by one tribe or the other. Everybody is looking out for the interests of their region as soon as they get there. So true federalism may just be a hoax, and the reality that may never ever come to pass in this country.
Is it really that people are looking are working to protect the interests of their region, or we have a clear case where people engage in what is purely regime protection? They want to protect their regime while they are in office, and then they kind of use ethnic sentiment so that their own people will support them, just in case they know they're not governing well, and just in case they know that people from other sections of the country are not happy with them.
Yes, I want to agree with you, and a classic example of what you just said now is Goodluck Jonathan.
Yeah.
Goodluck Jonathan wanted to play what he claimed to be true federalism and concentrated on the north, almost abandoning the south, and even Otuoke, where he comes from.
In what way?
Look at education.
Okay.
Goodluck Jonathan tried to propagate and promote education in the north.
Yeah.
He was building schools.
Almajiri.
Yes, for Almajiri schools.
But what Almajiri from the north?
Yes. The only problem is this. Most of these people have been brainwashed to think that what Goodluck Jonathan was doing was not in their interest.
But is it just the deliberate propaganda, or you think it could be a statement of fact?
It's a deliberate propaganda, of course. They were just spraying of propaganda from left, right, and center, and that was exactly what brought about his downfall. Now, tell me exactly what. If there was anybody to complain, if anybody had the right to complain about Goodluck Jonathan, it would have been people from the south. Because as far as I know, the facts are there. Goodluck Jonathan had put a lot of weight to the north. I think that was in a bid to please them and not practicing, because if it was.
Let us also be fair. Let us also be fair to the north. Maybe he was playing on their emotion because he had agreed to do a 4-term and go. So maybe he was playing their emotion with the hope that they will allow him to do extra 4 years, because the north was saying do 4 years, and then because the north was claiming that Jonathan breached agreement. So maybe that was a political strategy and it failed. Well, maybe. But beyond that, let's look at Bola Tinubu in this. When Bola Tinubu was in opposition, he talked about federalism even right from the days of NADECO. The NADECO was known to be an organization that talked so much about federalism in Nigeria. In fact, when we talk about federalism in Nigeria, that argument most times came from the southwest. and then the Southeast. But the Southwest was more vocal, maybe because they have access of them, they have media access. But Bola Tinubu was known to have talked about federalism in many ways, but 3 years down the line, in my argument, Bola Tinubu does not believe in federalism. Or if at all I could say he's a hypocrite.
Hypocrisy has never defined itself like it has defined itself in the course of this government's regime.
Okay.
Hypocrisy has never manifested the way it has manifested in the course of this Bola Tinubu's regime. Was this not the same Bola Tinubu that organized Occupy Nigeria in the days of Jonathan?
Yes.
Was this not the same Bola Tinubu?
No, let's talk about it as effect restructuring. Let's not debate.
Well, like I said earlier, restructuring is a corner as we speak.
But let me tell you why I think he's a hypocrite. Let me give my own opinion.
Okay.
You believe in federalism and you suspended a sitting governor. Who believes in true federalism and suspends a governor? Who believes in true federalism and all you go about singing the message is telling people, hold your governor accountable. I am not the only one to be held accountable. And then that's a good argument. But the caveat to the argument is this: I'm generating enough allocation for them. In a federal state, a man who claims to believe in federalism. The third argument is go and look at the matter they took to local government. About local government, I think the FG versus Abia State and others.
Yes.
On that case, you will clearly see that this government probably does not really believe in federalism. Let me tell you this: if you believe in federalism, you ought to know that there's a limit to which the federal government can step into management of local government. So for me, does Tinubu really believe in federalism like he claimed when he was in opposition?
My only problem with all of this thing is the fact that Nigerians have not seen or did not see the handwriting on the wall. Somebody who was indirectly or who is indirectly governing Lagos State by proxy. What kind of federalism are you expecting him to practice? These governors get whatever allocation they get from him and they end up singing on his mandate they will stand.
Because the way Tinubu sounds today and some of his guys and even his media aid, they make it look like federalism for them means that the job of the federal government is to generate allocation and give it to the states.
Yes, exactly.
Is that their definition of federalism? That cannot be the definition of federalism.
But that is how they see federalism. So if you think federalism is what do they call this? Is it a decentralization of power?
Yes.
Then to Tinubu and his goons, it is not a decentralization of power.
No, Tinubu doesn't believe in decentralization of power.
Exactly.
Clearly, he believes in all power
belongs to the
center.
And that is why they are all preaching connecting to the center.
So that at least it's no longer a rumor. A state governor has come out to confirm that if you join the APC, they give you money.
Yes.
It's no longer a rumor. A governor said it, and up to date, nobody working for this government has come out to to give a contrary information or to say, look, Your Excellency is wrong. Or
yes, this is he started the cultism in Lagos and some parts of the southwest, and now he wants to extend it to Nigeria. And if care is not taken, if Tinubu by chance or by accident wins second term, I am telling you that we will be sitting here and the National Assembly will be moving a bill for a third term or a lifelong presidency.
Are you saying Tinubu will be our own dear? Our own dear. You may be putting the fine.
It is exactly what it's looking like.
But let's anchor somewhere. You've talked about the dangers of the state police, while you also look at the good side of it. But at the end of the day, I was reading a national daily not recently, and they have reduced the thing into North and South fight. They are trying to say, look, the North is not comfortable with state police. That it seems the South are the ones that are, but let's stop deceiving ourselves. We already have things that look like state police. Either you call it Amotekum, or you call it Egubab, or you call it local vigilantes, or whatever you call it. We already have something that looks like state police living with us, staring us in the face. We may argue that legally it's not there, but are we not really deceiving ourselves?
I will still tell you, as much as it is necessary these people will still find a way to abuse it. Well, as much as this thing is a necessity, a Bubagu was created at a particular time, and a certain governor in the southeast was using it to witch hunt opposition members and people who seem to be criticizing him. Another governor in the same southeast has been using it to chase native doctors up and down.
No. I think he created another one altogether.
Yeah, he created his own. This is something that looks like state police, and he's using it to witch hunt native doctors. So, whether you like it or not, an abuse will still be there. There is need for state police, but the question is, will these people use it maximally to get
what it ought to be?
Because we are just for all I know.
Well, my argument is that people personalize state institutions, and once this institution are allowed to function the way they ought to be, these matters would have been taken care of. Lastly, let me talk about the security vote. Security vote is a part of the budget that the state provides for security agencies in their domain. And people need to understand what the security vote is all about. The state government doesn't have control over the security agencies in their domain. Those security agencies are budgeted for, or their budget is covered by the federal government, but some operations they do in the state is not covered for. So, state security vote is a part of the state budget where the governor tries to fund their operation, provide vehicles for them, fund their activities in order to keep the state secure. I think we will anchor here today, and if by chance this video come your way, I will continue to appeal that you subscribe, comment. Your criticism will be appreciated. Until I come your way next time, I remain yours truly from here. It's a good day.